Hi, you're listening to the Happy Earth Market podcast, and we are brought to you by Happy Earth Market, Arizona Indian Jewelry, and Love Through Living. Today we have Max Ribner from Nahko and Medicine for the People. Enjoy.
Aloha. My name is Max Ribner with Nahko and Medicine for the People. You are listening to Happy Earth Market podcast.
We are a podcast that centers around an entrepreneurship hub where we highlight and help entrepreneurs get their business in the world, and as long as they're earth and socially conscious. And we are doing that in Las Vegas.
Yeah, we're the venue spot for all of the action and moving and changing the world for better. So it's an honor to have you on the show because it's a blessing, because the show is a part of Happy Earth Market, and yeah, you guys were a huge influence on us.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, well, thanks for having me here and a piece of the medicine for the people.
Thank you. Thank you.
So who's your three favorite bands, any genre?
So I guess to backtrack, I started on the trumpet at age 9. I've been playing music about 23 years now, and so definitely Miles Davis is one of them. My cousin handed me one of his CDs when I was around the age, and that really got me into jazz and improvisation.
Yes.
I've really been actually getting into John Mayer a lot. Just love John's songwriting and his guitar playing, and he also went to Berklee School of Music, where I went to as well. So.
Oh, cool.
Rad.
Wow.
And then
massive street cred.
Yeah, and then I feel like also right now my radar is Chance the Rapper for bringing in the gospel with hip hop, so more of a conscious, just conscious realm in his lyrics. I feel like because I know hip hop it can touch on a lot of different things, and a lot of people can get turned off from that in different realms. And I really love how he influences the gospel.
Yeah, that's great.
Brings in the hope.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, it's easy. It's not easy. It's easy to grab a hold of so many tribes with music, I feel. And when I say tribes, I mean different people, diverse people of all kinds, and that's really powerful, and it's a great tool for us to use, to spread that message, and I think it's wonderful. You guys are awesome. I love you guys so much.
Thank you.
I'm kind of starstruck, so forgive me a little.
Well, we're all human,
Mm-hmm.
The bands, I guess I'll just tell you guys that I've been playing with the group on and off for about 9-10 years. I met Nahko around the campfire in Big Island. And we started on the streets. We started on the streets playing on farmers markets, and actually in Portland, old open mics, playing 2 songs, the song Father Mountain and Ghost Embodied. And so it really had to be persistent. I also want to really honor Nahko for his huge element of persistence and getting this message to the people. And I have to admit, I've been a hardworking musician, but out of a lot of musicians I've met, he's one of the hardest artists that I've met in terms of on his off time, always sending emails and connecting dots. And I'm always just saying, hey, don't be afraid to get a break too,
Yeah, right.
Right. Do you feel like that motivates you, and his inspiration and just the passion to keep moving? Do you think that motivates you to keep doing the work too?
Yeah, it does. You know what? I honestly feel like it's a balance. I think I've gotten to see so many pieces of the moving parts, and I have a little bit of a dad in me that wants everyone to make sure that they're rested and that we can, I think it's the thing in artistry is we're always trying to strive to get up there and do our part. And I think there can be an illusion in our industry that, once you hit to fame or a mark, that's it, you've made it, and that you have money, you have power. And I think that can be an illusion, and I think it's important to remember why artists are even starting the art form in itself and what they're in it for. That's not to say that business can be a beautiful thing, and like you guys are saying with entrepreneurship and So I think, for me, it's a balancing point of wanting the music industry to change in a way, to slow down and look at the environment and look at ways for artists to unite and, like get on a solar tour bus and, just not be afraid to talk about these things because, I've been on the road recently for 2.5 years, and it's like the amount of fossil fuels that we're relying on to get us places is pretty crazy.
Right.
But that being said, we're also blasting people open and doing good work. There's a lot of people that have kind of mentioned that as well, and I agree. I guess, I'm just kind of, that's where I stand, though, is that I really appreciate the focusedness and the hard-driven persistence of when you have a passion, and then also encouraging artists and just humans in general to slow down and rest and to enjoy life, enjoy life, slow down, and live a good life here on this earth.
Totally, totally. And your message is loud and clear and speaks to everybody, I think, who hears it. And, it's cool. I don't know. You guys, I think, are really part of this whole awakening movement because younger people actually introduced us to you guys.
Yeah.
We're hitting 40 here, man. And it's really interesting because it's now kind of like the Medicine for the People is kind of like the music we always have on all the time, even in Happy Earth Market, just because the message is so exactly who we want to be, and it's really cool to know that we're not the only ones listening. You guys are reaching a lot of following, and it's touching a lot of people, and it's making people actually do things differently, and that is powerful for Mama Earth. I mean, she is beyond grateful for it. I know she is, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. We have questions for
Yeah,
you.
so,
Sorry.
Hey, we can let the conversation go wherever it wants.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Yeah.
One of the things I loved about your a bunch of the interviews that I watched is you talked about the flugelhorn and being the soft horn and that it used to calm the troops. And I looked everywhere to find that history. I just wonder if you could expand on that a little bit because it was just such a dope thing that I really couldn't nail down.
Yeah, thanks for that question. So the flugelhorn, if I'm not mistaken, I apologize if I am for all the flugelhorns, but it's from European area, I believe, Germany or somewhere in that region, and it was used in the battlefield. I mean, the horns actually in general have a history of being used on the battlefields, especially the trumpets, to call in the troops.
They're loud.
The bugles.
And what was funny about, even just the work that I've done with Medicine for the People is that when I first met Nahko, he was whistling these parts, and before we spoke in English, we spoke in music, and we played songs, and sat across from the campfire, and it's I started playing the lines he was humming, and it was one of those Brotherhood kinship things of hey bro, where you been my whole life? And I was like, where you been, man? Because I had just finished Berkeley, and I got a little bit drowned out from. It was the most beautiful education, but I also was flooded with too much music, and I needed to find musicianship that had meaning and purpose.
Right.
When I kind of found out about the flugelhorn being used as the wing and the flank on the battlefields, I really found it kind of ironic that I've been a part not only in this group but many groups to kind of. That's the way I see energetically is music can be a way to call in our troops, aka our family and our community, right?
Right.
And that we can really step out of this paradigm of man versus man and this whole division thing that we see on the media and the whole political realm, as I'm sure you guys know, that whole rabbit hole. I think consciously we can start changing those things by setting up music events, by setting up community events, by doing these podcasts. We're literally putting out ripples that honestly the government can't touch. And I think it's an important reminder that we're connected to the people working in government, and it's not that everyone in these realms are bad people. It's just that there's different systems in the world, and the idea is that when we can, for example, Standing Rock, right, was a perfect example that here we have humanity basically versus, I don't even know the best way to say it, versus, basically privatized militarization, and also government kind of, it was just a firm reminder that our governments aren't really, right now, aren't standing for the earth and standing for humanity.
No.
And
or the citizens.
and what I saw personally, and what I saw on those front lines, and I was thinking about with the flugelhorn, if I was there, to be able to play out some melody, is that every person on this earth has a heartbeat, right? And when we can look past our differences, we can notice that we're really not that different from each other, besides our viewpoints. And where I'm going with this is that I think music is one of those first languages that has the power, right, like it reached you guys, to make change, to change vibration, to change thought patterns.
Absolutely.
And that's actually kind of a cool segue, because for me, the work from Standing Rock transcended to helping men and helping brothers, because the more men and brothers we help out, the more patriarchy and colonialism, that whole mindset that men are on top and making all the decisions, can dissolve, and that we can live here in a harmonious way. And also, I think, especially from my parents' generation, and use that word in a peaceful way and I think some people get really deterred from that word, peaceful and harmony, and can think of it as like the 70s and the hippie generation.
Right.
And personally, I feel like we all want that at some level. We all want to have a good life, and we don't need to have control to, that element of having control and extracting from the earth to feel like we're on top of the mountain.
Right.
So as a collective, the Medicine for the People, all these artists, Tubby Love, Trevor Hall, Xavier, I feel like has been a beautiful kind of birth of these artists that are really kind of coming together, to sing their freedom songs and to help bring awareness and unite the people. And I think that's part of my role as being horn player, is that I'm here to help bind our community together and do that the best I can.
Yeah, well,
hopefully that was a good answer.
No, that was
beautiful.
a great answer. Perfect. Hey, I was reading that you said you kind of farmed around the world, and my question is, how do you think food relates to healing the world? Like we're big on the grow your own movement, and I'm just curious how you feel like growing your own and healing the community through food. Like, what are your feelings on that?
Yeah, I like that question, especially because I've been cooking every day at home, shopping at the co-op, and food is what we're made of. Water is what we're made of, and how we connect to it kind of resembles who we are. Not to say like if someone's eating fast food, they're completely different than I am, because I was at that point as well. A lot of it has to do with awareness. For me, personally, I saw The Future of Food. It's a documentary just about GMOs. And that lit me up when I first saw it. And that was kind of at the similar time I also met Nahko as well. And one of the songs we'd sing about was like, I'm not even going to say the word, but, it's like, what the F is going on?
Sure.
Had that lyric, and that connecting to GMOs and Monsanto and the future of our seeds, which is pretty sad in a way, and to see how many even just animals have been affected by that.
Right.
So with that comes it's in Hawaiian, the kuleana is our responsibility to know where our food comes from and to research and to even ask at restaurants, hey, like, are you guys using any local ingredients? Is there anything I can buy on the menu that would come from that realm? I think it's really important that we do ask questions, and even if we're at a co-op, to say, hey, like, where is this, if you're going to eat meat, where is it from? And with that, I've been learning too that, we don't really need that as much as, like how much the American diet relies on meats. And I was talking to a beautiful elder last night who was saying, just one of her connections is really thinking the horse movement and also protecting horses, but also protecting animals, and how much are we dependent on animals needing to fill something in us?
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so I think that's really important. It's about the cycle, and so I think food is a really important piece for humanity, and also using it as a tool to come together, just like music, how we can bind over food. And so I'm personally looking at ways I can be more vegan. I haven't reached that complete phase yet, but definitely been cooking some good Indian food over here.
That's helpful when you're around all of it to help keep going in that
direction.
Yeah,
I believe, I really am all about even just what Leonardo DiCaprio did in his documentary, and really cutting down on, I've taken out beef, for example, in my diet. And
little changes, it makes a huge effect because we're all doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the more that we have these conversations can create empowerment, especially for the younger generation, to say, like, hey, we're going to be changing up our Monday through Friday meals, and not just relying on hamburgers and over processed foods. Our culture, unfortunately, is really addicted on technology, on sugars, on processed foods, and that is over processing in our brains. And I think if we look at the rise in stress and in cancer and diabetes and what's happening with the youth is pretty interesting. And we're at a really pivotal time now to kind of wake each other up, whether we like it or not, because that shift's going to have to happen anyways.
Absolutely.
And I think importantly, remember our connection here. We're teaching not only kids, but elders and adults about where food comes from, and about starting a garden and creating a community garden. And if there's no co-op, or if there's no store that carries these foods, of empowering local communities to really make that happen and to create their own. Because I think more than not, communities can get in that mindset, well, there's nothing around here, or there's nothing you can do.
What can I do?
Right.
Or where can I go?
And instead of coming from that mindset, is who can I really talk to, or what kind of community can I gather to help create a co-op, or help create, having a weekly, maybe we start eliminating even our packaged products too, and our relationship to trash. So these conversations can go for forever.
Forever and ever.
No, I love it.
Just to wrap up that question as well, as personally, I've also been helping the band with Footprint and shopping at more organic shops, for our food on the tour bus, and trying to buy food that's a little bit more conscious than what most bands tend to use, and also what most bands tend to throw out, honestly.
Yeah.
It sounds difficult being on the road. Do you find it hard constantly being on the road to find good food, or you're just constantly around people who have that? So probably not, huh?
It's a blend. Certain areas, it's harder to find good food, but also with the power of our technology, when I just plug in, hey, on Yelp, I've been putting in organic food, and usually, at least in the cities, we've been pretty lucky about finding good spots. And then I'll also try to scout out, if there's a fresh bakery in town, I'll instead of just buying store bought Whole Foods bread, I'll suss out some better quality. I think the reality is, the more local we can get, the more hands-on. And I think that's this could be a really powerful movement too, of just coming back to more of a hands-on, local way of living.
Right.
And honestly, with all the frustration that I see happening in our society politically, I think that could be a really beautiful answer to a lot of putting this frustration, instead of putting frustration towards the news and media, really leaning on each other in our community to make change, and not leaning on towards exterior sources and towards corrupt government that's not leading by example, and just taking that leadership from within and just getting out there and take it step by step. So.
You talk about a lot
That's
about
my answer.
That was a great answer. An amazing answer. You talk a lot about the power of the campfire, and as a matter of fact, this business was started around a campfire. But then also, like you talked, can you explain what the Sacred Brotherhood is? Is that still a thing? I was reading about that, and I just thought it was super dope. And we're trying to work with Native elders as well. I just wanted to hear what you're doing with that.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for that question. So Sacred Brotherhood came to me, the name of that movement and message came to me actually here in Portland 4 years ago, I want to say, 3 or 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Just kind of an intuition that as men and brothers that we need more support. And by that, what I mean is, what came clear to me in that time and still in this time is that we need more sanctuaries to be able to speak in truth, to be able to talk about hard conversations, to be honest, to be held. And I'm just going to say some words that may make others uncomfortable, but for example, I think as men, if we get vulnerable, sometimes for me growing up, that meant I was gay. Mm-hmm. There was a fear around that. Yeah. And I think there's a reality for all men that we can be vulnerable, and that doesn't have to, that's a safe place. And we're taught to, as you guys know, to toughen up, to suck it up, put the tears away, and put on the construction hat and do your work and go to bed and be a good man, and that's it, And for me personally, I feel like that is partially why we are seeing such an off balance in how decisions are made in hierarchy, how the world is treating animals and treating the relationship to oil, the whole 9 yards, and also the distortion of sexuality as well, and how we don't really have these conversations, even growing up.
Yeah, it's taboo.
So I've been able, so to kind of come around about all that. So what we've been doing, and I want to say we because it really has been a movement of brothers, we've been forming, basically, to put it simple, circles around fires and campfires to create a good space. And so sometimes we'll bring in some indigenous elders to talk story and tell us some wisdom, because that's something as a society, especially in this country, we haven't been introduced to, except for very few people that might have been connected to walking that road. So basically we would meet once a month. That the first part of the Sacred Brotherhood kind of fizzled out a little bit when I went back on tour Medicine for the People. Right. And then Standing Rock happened, and that's, as I was telling you guys, that's when that message came in that our men really need support. We need.
Interesting.
What is the key? What is the key for this healing in humanity? And for me personally, there's a big. Not saying this is the main answer, but there's a big calling from what I see for brothers to gather, and on the flip side of that, for sisters to gather. Right. Because it really isn't just all about the men. I just think a lot of that off balancing stems from the men.
And also,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Like in society right now, we're told on TV not to be men, but then to be men in private, and so it's a weird balance right now to where masculinity lies and where the future of masculinity is, with the monarch kind of taking control, and doing their thing, which is beautiful, because the monarch kind of does need to take control for us to continue and for Earth to be correct. But then I think that's just a beautiful idea for a place for masculinity to start to thrive and reinvent itself.
To rise up.
Yep.
Exactly.
Reinvent itself, definitely. That's the word.
Yeah, and I think the spirit of simplicity is really important. Like, there can be so many brothers or sisters out there that can easily set this space. All it really takes is clear intentions. By that, maybe you have a fire or gathering in your house of brothers and men, or brothers and women, or sisters separately. I think it's really important that to have these together, and also have it be just brothers, because there is a medicine that comes in when men gather. There's a medicine that comes in when women gather.
Yeah.
And there's a medicine that comes in when we both come together.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think what we've really done in this movement is brought that intention, making sure there's no drugs or alcohol with clear intention. We've had different themes as well. Like some of that is how to support each other in our visions, how to deal with fear and grief and death, how to become more vulnerable. Sometimes there was an action, hey, how can we go out this month and really do something good in our community and use our strength, our muscles, right? Go to the gym, use those muscles for a reason and purpose. Because men have so much strength. And I'll often hear my partner saying she's ready for the men to rise and stand in their true groundedness. And I also second that it is time. It's time for our brothers to come together and collectively, it's important. We have to deal with trauma. We have to deal with what we've been through, but then we need to kind of let that go and know that we are not our trauma as well.
Yeah, totally.
And to step forth and to kind of make the steps to help better our communities.
Yeah, to be better humans.
And listen to women too. And I think that's really important, that women have been very abused and also kind of just, it's like the civil rights movement. It's just the same it's on the same realm, that we need to honor women and hear their voices. And to be honest, in my opinion, if there was grandmothers that were integrity running this country, this place would be pretty beautiful.
Pretty better, that's for sure.
And if you look at indigenous cultures, there was a trend with that where, even for one example, there was in this Oregon area, there's a tribe in the eastern area. I forget the name of what their people are called, but what I do know is that before the men would go to battle, if they had to, they would actually check with their women first to get approval, because they knew as a collective, the women carry intuition. They have the cycles and their moons, and there's a deeper connection in a sense to that intuition.
Right.
So I think that's really important as men, that we really listen to the women, get to know your grandmothers, even if your physical grandmothers in there, like talk to the elders. And
absolutely.
One last note I wanted to mention. Sorry, I've been talking a lot here.
No, good. That's what we want.
It's for you, honey. We love you. Keep talking.
Thank you. So just to kind of tie the threads to all this, is that from Standing Rock, I was like, okay, I gotta get this going again. So literally stopped making excuses that I didn't have time. And then at medicine shows, after sound check, we would host brother groups in the cities that we were in.
That's neat.
And so probably after about 20 to 30 cities that we visited, I had recruited these brothers unintentionally in a way to a retreat. So we did a 4-day retreat in Sedona, Arizona, not too far from you guys there.
Yeah. And
the retreat evolved around kind of what we're talking about, just gathering in a safe way, drug and alcohol free, with a native elder named Ron Interpreter, a beautiful Navajo uncle. And him and I basically helped spearhead this 4-day journey, where as men we could gather in a sacred way and learn his teachings, and all, knowing that we're not from his people, but he had the openness to really teach us what he learned from his grandparents.
Sure.
Nice. Cool.
And some of the most basic knowledge, but to be honest, from all of that, just the fact that we were able to gather in a way that had so much integrity and intention around our actions.
Sounds powerful.
We all cooked together. We supported each other in a way, and it was honestly, it was like a rites of passage. And
that's funny you say that.
And that's what's missing in our culture, right? Having traditions and ways to kind of ask ourselves, well, what does it really mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a woman? And learning about very just down-to-earth, simple basics of humility and of reverence and walking in integrity and walking in our medicine. And so, so the website, just so you guys know, the website for that
Hold on one
you guys
second.
over there?
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
It's
One of our
fine.
phones didn't get silenced. Unprofessional.
So
No,
unprofessional.
it's all good.
Ask us again, love.
I just wanted to mention for you guys and anyone listening that the website that we've created is calltobrotherhood.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be putting out, so now I've been showing a film on that, on a little documentary on that journey, because I've been feeling that we need more media and footage
Absolutely.
of men in vulnerability and men in stepping in their truth.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be coming out as well.
And that was tobrotherhood.com?
Call to Brotherhood.
Call to Brotherhood.
Call to Brotherhood.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Just make sure.
Cool, we'll put it in the-
So,
we'll-
yeah,
We'll put in the links to the show.
the idea. Oh, cool. Yeah, the idea is that we're not really scaring people or brothers or sisters with that, sacred brotherhood. Sometimes people can kind of get scared by different words. And the idea is
Right.
we're bringing men and sisters in a way, because we're opening this up to women, and we also are honoring that women have been doing this for a long time, gathering, and this is already happening. But the idea is that we're bringing each other back to that sacred place.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. That's the idea behind the movement we're trying to create in Vegas. It sounds like you guys are doing it everywhere. I love it. I'm just, what an exciting thing. And the old saying that men sharpen men. I truly believe that. And I was going to touch on that. Men, especially in America right now, need a rite of passage. So I'm really, really glad that you said that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's
we don't have anything in America that has any culture to that, passing of
the baton,
from childhood to adulthood,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, for men or women, and it is unfortunate, and I hadn't really thought of that perspective till you brought it up, Max. So thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's why not include new traditions? This is time to start doing things differently. Let's start making these things happen, and creating this call to brotherhood sounds amazing, and it's about time. Seriously, it's about time. It really is. And I like the fact that you guys don't include or keep the alcohol and drugs out, because that,
it sets different intentions.
It's a totally different intention, because guys hang out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the time, but there's always alcohol or drugs involved with that hanging out part. There's no real conversation happening that's, truly coming from yourself, not from the outside world, and that's really important, especially for just as being a human being. Doesn't matter if you're a boy or girl.
Mm-hmm.
Humans, we essentially, at the core of it, we need to be able to release that. We get a lot of suffering and a lot of energy put onto us every day, and that's a hard thing to cope with. So yeah, this is cool.
I agree, and it's about creating more awareness now. I don't know a ton of groups, but I know that this exists.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And one thing that we're creating on the website to help with this movement, because it really is just like I said, it's not about me or uncle or certain. It's a really equal platform. It's really open, honestly, for humanity to help guide it forth. And that's how I feel about it. I don't own this sacred brotherhood. It's a vision that came through. It's a movement, just like Medicine for the People. Honestly, I feel like we're all a part of it. For example, I'm in the band. It's a really cool place to be. We get to bless up a lot of people, but the reality is, like one of our mottos when we would play this music is, if we move one person in the room, we've done our job. And I continue to stand by that. If we're playing in front of 10,000 people at Red Rocks, or if we're playing in a refugee rejuvenation center in Amsterdam, if the emotions that come from the community and the revelations that I get to witness in the crowd is what keeps me touring. If I was just playing music for a show, I'd be out in an instant. I wouldn't be doing. And so that's kind of what's held me in this movement, as rough and tough as it is on the road, to be honest, because, musicians and artists fantasize about hitting the road, but I got to kind of break the ice and say that it's not easy. And definitely some people are more cut out for it, but the reality is you're sacrificing home life.
Right.
You're sacrificing your sleep. You're sacrificing being on trains and planes and automobiles, and it's honestly, it's not the healthiest lifestyle.
Right.
And so that's where I think, as like you guys are doing with your podcast, collectively helping each other, the more that we can kind of co-vision and create these ideas to help each other get these messages out and slow down, kind of slow down this 9-to-5 mentality of we have to pay the bills, and that's what we're here to do.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, right?
I think it's yeah, I know, because honestly, we're stepping into an important time, as you guys know, with what's happening politically and with climate change and with our foods, and I think it's really important that we start, just like the MLK, we got to raise our voices and speak our truth and formulate plans.
Yeah.
To move forward, and I think that's locally where we can make the change. What you guys are doing in Vegas, Oh, and sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. And the main thing I wanted to mention, the second thing I wanted to mention about the call to Brotherhood is that on the map, on the website, there's an icon that says "Create the Ripple," which is kind of our motto.
That's cool.
Like when you drop a stone in the water, that's the concentric ring. That's what we're trying to create, just a ripple from this.
Right.
And there is a map there that basically it's small right now, but it's going to grow, and it is growing, of different centers and different organizations that are holding spaces like this. So, for example, someone's in Europe. If someone's in Europe and they're in Amsterdam or some of the places that we visited that I've connected with, they have more access to finding energy that is, I guess the best way to put it, more in a sanctuary form. So that a place where AKA a place where we can come back home, right? To put it in a simple form. So that we can basically use our technology more for its purpose. And so the idea with this sanctuary map is that, if this spreads in a good way, someone's in the middle of Alabama and they're like, hey, I'm just really looking for a yoga class or somewhere or whatever it is, a brothers group, that we can help network and be like, oh, cool, check, here's George, here's his email, and he's hosting weekly Friday gatherings.
Nice.
So
cool. That's really cool.
That's the idea with kind of the call to action. That's what, like, the call to Brotherhood. And again, that interconnects with sisterhood. So
right.
I love it.
That's really cool. And it sounds, it's funny, Max, everything that you're explaining is kind of what Happy Earth Market is already. It kind of already has happened. I can't explain it. I would love it if you guys came here. Oh, gosh.
You'd freak out, yeah.
No, I mean, everybody would freak out.
No, I mean, they would freak out, not us.
Oh, yeah, you guys would probably freak out because Happy Earth Market is a tangible thing that you're trying to do, and I think we kind of created a lot of it. Clearly, there's a lot of more to do, but
well, I was just thinking too, we're hosting the women's circle. Why don't we host a men's circle?
No, why don't we?
Why don't we? I'll talk to Ash and the guys, and we'll create a men's circle. There's no reason why we don't do that.
Easy.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah. There's something you guys could do.
Thanks for the idea.
Yeah, thanks.
Add that to our events.
One thing we'd like
That's why we have these conversations. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yep. No,
collaboration.
Yeah, collab.
Yeah.
One thing I'd like to ask is, what's your God? Who's your God? What, not necessarily what you pray to, but what's your vision of, right? Who's your God?
Oh, say that one more time. Sorry, I cut up.
Okay, sorry. One thing we like to ask is, who's your God? Like, or not? You know what I mean? You say it better, Sam. So go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know why he's making me ask this question. It's clearly not the right time to ask that question, but I guess I will ask.
Who do I look to?
Yeah, like who? So we all have God. Who is your God? Mine is Earth. You can go next.
Well, I would say I would say it like male, like female, it's an interconnecting dance. And that's for me, it's within myself and then within my connection to all of creation. So, yeah, I wasn't raised in a religious way or spiritual way, to be honest. I have a really beautiful family who were really open to offering those options if I wanted to go wherever that may be, to explore that. But honestly, yeah, I really connect to indigenous wisdom, and have definitely a beautiful relationship that I'm hoping to grow closer with, with what we call Great Spirit or God, or the force that has brought us here. At a circle a community circle in Amsterdam, there was a sister that was talking about dancing with God, like we're working together. Mm-hmm. And I really loved how she put it, because it wasn't like we're grabbing for that exterior, like we're waiting for change, right? We're like waiting for God to come. Mm-hmm. It was like this intuition of like her being in touch with herself, which being that is God, that we're dancing together. Mm. And with that knowing we're going to make mistakes and we're going to have challenges, and there's going to be times where we're asking, like, all right, Spirit, where are you at? Like, I need some guidance. And I don't know if you guys agree with this, but it usually comes in times of surrender, when we've let go of our thoughts and we've let go of our mind, that some sort of spirit, or what you guys are questioning, God, will come to us.
Right.
Whether
Absolutely.
that might be a bird that flies to us, whether that might be a song that comes to us, whether that might be a poem, or whether it just might be an inspiration of like, oh, I never thought about that.
Right.
And I think, to me, that's how the relationship that I have to God, is within myself, and then the full surrender of knowing that there's something bigger than me.
Just
and
trusting in that.
The trusting in each step, and listening too. Also, I think I notice when I'm in nature, which at a lot of times I feel the most connected to all of creation. But if I'm not in the right mindset, then there's almost every time I'm not going to find a symbol, or if I have something I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, it's too hard to figure out.
But if I'm in it, if I'm fully let go of trying to figure out that song, or trying to figure out how to make my life better, or whatever that is,
it comes to you.
The answer will come. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You just have to be patient,
and
right?
with that, I want to. Here's a good quote that leads for this question. Keep living in the questions, and one day you will find that you have lived yourself into the answers.
Nice, I love it.
That's great.
So may we all, live in questions and be in curiosity.
Constant.
And with that was one of the main messages that my oldest brother taught to me. My oldest brother, Noah Ribner, has been a beautiful brother. I have two brothers, Tim and Noah. And Noah has been, he especially when I turned 21, I'm 32 now, he was a mentor. And I think that's really important for us, no matter how old we are, that we get in touch with a mentor. Some of us might call that a counselor, but I think there's beyond that, we can find a mentor or a guide that can help give us guidance, not tell us what to do, but to give us
different perspectives,
tips, and exactly. Yeah. And my brother, when I was at a point of finishing college, I was just like, what the heck do I do with life? Am I supposed to become a man now? I'm like, do I buy a car? Like, I don't have a job. And he said the most great message, 3 words: follow your curiosities.
Oh, I love it.
And that was it. That's when I moved out west. That's when I did some volunteering. I went on farms. I met Nahko. We started the Medicine for the People movement. I started my own band, which is called the Max Ribner Band.
Oh, you blew me away with that. I didn't even know about it. Sorry, you blew me away with those stage shows that you did in Portland and all that stuff. Cool. I'm like, man, I want to go up there and see this right now.
You watched some of that?
I watched all of it.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Did you watch the Dream Show?
Yes, I did.
Nice.
I was blown away.
Cool.
Yeah, all the different performers you brought together, I just thought it was the coolest thing. And you just look like a kid in a candy store up there with all of them. You look so happy to have that come through.
Exactly. Yeah, that was called the Leap to Flame Dream Show. My second album was called Leap to Flame, and kind of in the same realms of actually what I was talking about with my brother. he basically, my grandfather passed a quote on to my, it wasn't his quote, but he passed it to my grandmother, that getting down to my father, then to my oldest brother Noah, then to me. Life is a game with a glorious prize. Let your purpose leap to flame and shall do or die.
Mm.
And the message of leaping to flame is just, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, we don't have to know all the answers, but man, we all have a calling inside of us. We all have something inside of us, a gift. You know, I'm sure this podcast you guys are doing, I'm sure you had to kind of, a couple of you guys had to just be like, take a leap, right, and take a risk.
Oh yeah, I emailed your manager every week for like 3 months.
Perfect, right?
Persistent.
That's persistent.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. When you believe in something, you have to be persistent, even if you fall down 20 times to get up on one time, right?
Yeah.
It's like, even if you look at sports, it's like how many times, you know, Michael Jordan had to miss to get to his craft,
right.
You know, to hit that buzzer beater. And so I think there's beautiful analogies in everything that we look at, you know, and it's an important message to follow your curiosity and to leap to flame. And now I'm kind of sorry I'm segueing now, but
you're cool.
now I'm in just feel called to speak this to them and kind of have a new concept, an album coming forth. You know, Medicine for the People and all these bands, there's incredible just artists, you know, like even in the group, you know, the string player Tim Schneider has beautiful music, the drummer Chitty, Justin Chittum's is a songwriter, Chase Mackay. So it's pretty cool to hear everyone's expression and how music comes through them, which is completely different from Nahko and Medicine for the People.
But it's all medicine for the people.
Anyway, exactly, right? No matter how you look at
beautiful,
it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to speak because this is good for me to talk about as an artist, and believing in the art that I create and art that other artists create is, and feel free to bounce some ideas. This is kind of cool that I'm talking about this, but
Yay.
But what I wanted to say is, with this next album, I really want to create a humanitarian piece with the record. And so, simply enough, instead of just saying, hey, we're putting on a new disc, we're like putting out this concept to humanity. And so far, what I've kind of come up with is that in the spirit of a medicine wheel, that in quarters, you know, part of the funds could stream towards an indigenous organization, something that I really am called to, you know, would that be a reservation? A quarter of that could also stream to a Brotherhood or Men in Jails program, for example.
Yeah.
Another portion could help keep the arts alive in general, in schools or some kind of program. Because as we know, the art, to keep the arts alive is something we have to be persistent about in itself.
Absolutely.
Starts at home.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of putting that out there, because I think as artists we can tend to kind of just get in this thing of like, hey, I'm creating an album and that's it, you know. And I really want to, and with that, I also want to recognize the amount of beauty too that in people's music and their offerings and the messages in there as well.
Right.
I guess what I'm saying is I really want to kind of challenge myself and look at the humanitarian inside myself and have this be a really beautiful art piece that can help different programs and that can help empower more youth to pick up instruments and back to the music being a bridge, you know, have it be a tool that can, maybe there's a program that can be put on a reservation to help the native youth as well.
Absolutely.
You know, not only get clean water and clean air and clean food, but also getting some music in their lives. So
yeah. I love it. I love the concept.
Stay tuned for that.
No, I'm excited about it. Yeah, there's a lot you could do with that,
great.
and it could spread, and more artists could do that, and it sounds awesome.
Yeah, you can inspire others to be that way too, which is bettering community all around. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you thinking like having artists from each like part of like people coming together to collaborate with you on the album? Is that what you're thinking? Having people to also come together on the album with you who are supporting these organizations that you're looking to maybe foster?
I think that's a beautiful piece. Yeah, maybe. I think I definitely foresee having some elders and indigenous speaking on the album.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
To help tell a story. I can definitely foresee some youth being a part of that and having their voice.
Totally.
And I'm definitely a huge visionary in that I see a pretty big gospel choir. I love gospel music. So.
Me too. It's so pretty. And the way they harmonize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. And like that being like their freedom song, you know, like I was just part of this event in Portland that was really inspiring. Actually, it was a Jewish community at a synagogue that kind of brought gospel into their.
That sounds neat.
I should know what the name of the weekly.
We're terrible with names here, Max. So again, I forgive you.
But anyways, you know, their weekly or monthly series, and they brought in the gospel choir, and that honestly, in a fact, just was really cool to see in a pretty more strictly like European blooded you know, just religion, just to see the interweaving of, you know, African Americans and kind of fighting similar fights, you know.
Right.
There's been a lot of trauma in so many different ways in Jewish communities and African American communities and indigenous communities. So it was really cool to see how the choirs combined and how they brought the gospel into this pretty amazing synagogue. So
was there a lot of...
I kind of have a similar vision with that, of infusing improvisation with jazz, with gospel, with orchestration. You know, it's classically trained as well. So
just bringing all of it together.
It could be a pretty big vision, but yeah, I'm also huge. Considering doing some kind of crowdfunding so that with everyone can kind of join forces in that humanitarian piece, you know, so that we're all a piece of it. So yeah, I might have your eyes up for that in case that comes out.
Yeah, totally.
We will. That sounds exciting. And if you need help, we have people in Las Vegas who are super talented with many genres. So
yeah,
let us help you bring some people.
Little Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we can do that.
We can do that too if you want.
So, are you guys coming to Vegas anytime soon, or?
You know, to be honest, even if I wasn't supposed to mention, we're still formulating our schedule. So right now there's an East Coast tour in March, and then I think the band's collaborating with some cool groups in the summer. So there's a chance that could come westward.
Awesome.
But I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be in your vicinity, and I guess even if it's in somewhere like Phoenix, then you guys just got to do a road trip.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do a podcast in the desert.
That'd be great. Yeah, we'll take you up on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you guys come to Vegas, whenever that is, you have to come and see Happy Earth Market, because you guys were a huge influence on it. Again, I say that because it's true. And I would love for you to see what you inspired, because I think you guys would be proud. I really do. And I don't mean to sound weird about it, but it's a very unique space, and it is a business, you know, on paper, but when you come here, it's not. And it's just it's a place for new commerce to happen, and we're trying to figure out how that's going to look in the future, and this is really the start of that, I think. So it would be amazing if you guys stopped in. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, that's cool. And yeah, what's the best way that myself and others can, is there a website?
Oh, yeah.
So,
we can send all that to you later.
I'll email it to you. It's happyearthmarket.com, and Happy Earth Market, everything social media. Yeah, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, it's all just Happy Earth Market. Yeah, we made sure we got it all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
If you check out the website, you'll definitely get an idea of what it is. Or if you're on Facebook, that's a really good place, because then you can see what's doing. It's pretty neat. And yeah,
cool.
bringing people together, like you're talking about how, you know, going and just seeing cultures mixing basically in places that they normally don't.
They normally wouldn't.
This is what Happy Earth Market does, and Black History Month is actually coming up, as you know, and we are making a solid goal of educating America about Black history by having a lot of diverse Black history in here.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really
Oh,
neat.
cool.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Thanks for doing that.
Oh, totally. No, it has to be done, you know, and it's a calling that we had, so we're just doing it. It's what we do here. We just do what calls.
We just do it. We do what we're told.
We're the vessels. We're slaves.
We're just servants.
We just do what we're told.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, hey, really, I really appreciate you taking this interview. You should have heard us when I quit my job to do Happy Earth Market. I'm now a full-time servant to the community.
2 days in now.
Yeah. and the day I quit my job, I got the email from you, and so I called these there's a girl here listening too, Sadie, and she's a part owner of this, and Samantha was here, and I called, and they both go, ah!
It literally sounded like that.
They just flipped out, and it's really an honor, and we really appreciate you doing this interview with us. And wow, you were wiser than I had anticipated. Really good stuff.
Hey, I appreciate that. And who knows, maybe you guys will have more band members. Knock on wood.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah, that would be dope.
Oh, we're not.
Interview.
It's not a maybe, it's a definite. We project well here.
So, do you got anything you'd like to plug in the media?
I'll put the good word in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just gratitude for Happy Earth Market, and thank you for any listeners coming in. And if you want to join be a part of the Brotherhood movement, as you know, call thebrotherhood.com. And my personal website and music is at maxribnerband.com. So MAXRIBNER band.com, which I'm sure you guys can put in there.
No problem.
And I would also, I guess, just appreciate from you guys or any listeners if you have any ideas or feedback, especially with that humanitarian idea, just to connect up, send a note on social media, on Instagram or Facebook or through email. And because I really believe that we are in this together, and the only way we are going to change the system, you know, inside of ourselves and the cycles is together.
Absolutely.
And we need each other. So I just want to say to everybody, stay hopeful out there in this wild time of earth shifting and crazy media, and to lean on your community. And if you don't have that, go out there and get curious and call on a brother or sister and build a bridge. So good things are coming and good things are here.
Yay! I'm so glad you said that.